22 books this year so far, and we're going to be reviewing every single one of them. Hi guys, welcome back. Today's video is going to be a sit-down video. I'm going to be going through every single book that I've read so far this year, which is 22 books, which is honestly, I'm pretty proud of myself for that. I've done 2 reading wrap-ups so far this year. I think I did one for January and February, and then I did not make one for last month, and obviously y'all don't know what I've read this month yet. So I won't go into as much details for January and February, but for March, I'm going to go into a little bit more detail, and then also for all of the books that I've read so far this month. Also, making this video means that I won't be making a April reading wrap-up, like a separate reading wrap-up for this month, but that's okay because we're going to be going through all 22 books, and yeah, I'm going to get started because I don't want this video to be like 30 minutes long. I have my Notion pulled up so that I can tell you all the ratings for all of the books because I can't remember half of these book ratings or like what I've given them. So the first book that I read this year was actually on my Kindle. I got my Kindle for Christmas, so I was like just reading on my Kindle those first like 2 weeks, and I read The Housemaid by Freida McFadden, and I gave this book 4 stars. I had not read a thriller in so long, but this book was actually so good and had so many twists coming that I personally did not see. I've heard that some people are like, you know, I was able to guess all the twists in this, but I did not, and I thought it was really, really good, and I really want to read I think there's 2 more books out now. I think there's a second and a third book, and yeah, I really want to get to those soon. So the next 2 books that I read, I'm going to kind of talk about together because it actually was if I can turn these over, it was the tandem read in the Throne of Glass series. So we have Tower of Dawn and Empire of Storms, and these are both very chunky books. I think they're both like 700-800 pages, yeah. So these, I actually rated both of these 4.5. I pretty much equally liked both of these. I know a lot of people don't like Tower of Dawn because it focuses on a character that is just not a lot of people's favorites, but I actually really liked this book, and I kind of switched off. So I really liked the beginning of this book more than this book. So in the very beginning, I was like, ooh, no, like I like Tower of Dawn way more than this one. But towards the end, I ended up liking Empire of Dawn. Why did I just put these 2 together? Empire of Storms. I ended up liking Empire of Storms more than Tower of Dawn towards the end. So this one had a better beginning, this one had a better end, but yeah, these are very well-known books, and I've always told people that if you're reading Throne of Glass, you should definitely tandem read these. I think it's completely worth it. The next book that I read was also on my Kindle, and that was The Bodyguard by Katherine Sinner. This was such a cute, fast, easy little romance book to read. This one, I'm not going to go into full detail again on like a lot of these because I've already gone through them, but this book is about a girl bodyguard taking care of a famous guy celebrity, which is already just so cool because it like switches up, you know, the normal roles. Usually it's a guy taking care of a girl, but this one was so cute, and I gave this one 3.75 stars. The next one was also on my Kindle, and it was Same Time Next Year by Tessa Bailey. This was my least favorite book that I've read so far this year. I actually gave this book 2 stars, and I think that's the first time I've ever given a book 2 stars. It was just, I don't even know. First of all, I'm pretty sure it was a novella. It was about 200 pages, which not everyone agrees with rating novellas just because they don't think it's a full book and it's not worthy of rating, but this was so bad. I don't know how I even got through it. I don't know why I finished it, honestly. I should have just moved on to better books. I feel like I kind of wasted my time with this book. It was just very spicy for no reason, like absolutely no reason. Every single page had some sort of spice on it that was not necessary. Yeah, would not recommend this book. The next book that I read was Forever Interrupted by Taylor Jenkins Reid. This book broke my heart into a million pieces. It was so sad, but the plot line was very boring, I guess, to me. So although it was very sad, it was very repetitive, it was kind of boring, and yeah, I gave this book 3 stars, but I wouldn't say that I don't recommend this book. I still would. Just prepare to get your heart ripped out of your chest. The next book that I read was on my Kindle again. I'm very like half and half on these. I think I've read like about 50% on my Kindle, about 50% physical books so far this year. So I definitely have a lot of catching up to do on buying the physical books for all of these like Kindle books. But the next book that I read was Addicted to You. This is when I started the Addicted series, and this book has changed. The series has changed the trajectory of my life. I'm literally in love with the Addicted series. It is so good, and I fell in love with this book. I actually rated this book 4.5 stars. It was so good, and this book is by Krista and Becca Ritchie. Yeah, if you have not read this series, you definitely should, but just know that it is a very, very, very spicy series. The next book that I read was Kingdom of Ash. Look at how thick this book is. This is the biggest book to date that I have read. It is, I want to say, it's almost 1,000 pages. This was my first 5-star read of the year, I think. Yes, this is my first 5-star read of the year. I think about this book every single day. I really do. This book also changed the trajectory of my life. This is the final book in the Throne of Glass series, and I know that this is kind of like an all-time favorite of the series. Everyone loves the very last book, and I did. First 5 stars, absolutely loved it. And yeah, again, would recommend Throne of Glass to anyone and everyone. So after I finished Kingdom of Ash, I was ready to get into the Crescent City series. So I picked up House of, Earth and Blood. I rated this book 4.5 stars. I actually really liked this series. A lot of people, well, it's common knowledge that this book is unlike all of her other series. This whole series is different from all her other series because it's modern fantasy. And a lot of people, I know that people really liked it, but people just said it was different, which made me very nervous. But I actually really liked it. I gave it 4.5 stars, and it just, yeah, I just really liked it. I've never really read modern fantasy outside of, I guess Harry Potter is considered modern fantasy. I know that the books came out starting in the 90s, but still, I mean, they took place in like the modern world. So besides that, this was the first one I've read, and I really liked it. It's definitely not for everyone. It's very confusing, and it's just harder to understand than her other books, but I would still recommend this to anyone. But I think that you should read ACOTAR and Throne of Glass before starting this series. The next book that I read, I actually got from a little free library, and I did a whole video on that. You should go watch that, but it was Kismet. This is another cute, easy, beachy read. Well, it's a cute, beachy read because it takes place on the beach, but the plot of this book isn't that cute. It's actually a, like, not cheating trope, but she's married to a guy already, but she's catching feelings for another guy. They don't really act on it, if I remember correctly, but it's about her just like battling her like emotions and feelings while she's at her sister's beach wedding. And it's just, I don't know, it's a cute little fast-paced book, but I ended up giving this book 3 stars. It was okay. I don't know if, I mean, like, I would recommend it, but also like don't go out of your way to read it. But yeah, I had never heard of this author, Becky Charleston. I don't know, but yeah, it was cute. Not too much spice in this, so do what you will with that information. I'm not gonna say go read this book, but also like don't not read it. Okay, this is where we get into a lot of the back-to-back Kindle books. So like I said earlier, I started the Addicted series. I read the first book, Addicted to You, on the Kindle, and the next 4 books that I read were all on the Kindle, and they were all in the Addicted Calloway Sisters series. So there's the Addicted series, and then there's also the Calloway Sisters series, but they're like intertwined. I don't know which one's the right word, but they're all the same characters. So like you're supposed to read them in like an order that they're all mixed together in, if that makes any sense. So yeah, those were Ricochet, Addicted for Now, Kiss the Sky, and Hothouse Flowers. So I don't remember like the plots of each of these books anymore because there's like 10 of them, and they all, you know, when you just read so many, they all kind of like jumble together because there's no real like plot to each book. You're just following these characters' lives. So I don't know what happened in each book, but overall it's a 5-star series, but at the same time, like each book is a different rating. So for Ricochet, I rated all of these 4.5 stars. That's super easy. So yeah, all of those books I rated 4 stars. I'll put the pictures, if I haven't already, of all of the books up on the screen. Yeah, after I read those 4, I still was only like halfway through the series, and I was like, I need a little break from reading about these characters. So then I picked up House of Sky and Breath, and this book was even better than House of Earth and Blood. The ending to this book was out of this world. If you have not read this series, but you've already read the ACOTAR series, prepare to be mind blown. So I gave this book 4.5 stars. All of these books are 4.5 stars, but yeah, I have not read the 3rd book in this series yet, and I cannot wait. I'm so excited, but this book was so good. Again, modern fantasy, but just so good, and I would highly recommend this one. So after I finished that one, we went back into the Addicted series, and I read 2 more books in the series, which was Thrive and Addicted After All. These I actually both rated 4 stars, which still absolutely amazing books, but just not as good as I guess like the earlier books. Keep in mind that the further I'm getting into this series, the thicker the books are getting, and sometimes thicker books just get like a little boring in the middle, and so it makes me not, I don't know, I feel like I tend to rate bigger books lower, but at the same time that doesn't make sense because I rated Kingdom of Ash and the ACOTAR books all like 5 stars. So I don't know what I'm saying, honestly, but either way, these books are just getting longer and longer, and sometimes longer books, I just get like bored. Even though it's a really good book, I still just like feel like the book is dragging on. So I rated both of those 4 stars, but yeah, they were both amazing books. Then I wanted to get back into fantasy, and I did not pick up the Third Crescent City book because I actually had Caraval. It had been sitting on my shelf for way too long, so I picked this up, and I had very mixed feelings on this book. So at first I rated it, I think like 3 stars, maybe 3.5, which I actually have 3.5 stars written down, but I feel like it could honestly be 4 because I think about this book a lot, and the storyline was really, really good. I think that this was an amazing idea for a book, but I feel like it was written a little, not childish, but is this YA? I'm pretty sure the series is YA, but it felt a little too YA for me. I don't know how to explain that. I feel like this was a book I would have read in middle school, and I'm just, I guess, getting over that feeling. Like, I don't want to feel like it's a book I would read in middle school, so I gave it 3.5 stars. I feel like it could be between a 3.5 and a 4. I'm honestly still not sure on my final rating for this book, but it was really good. It was a different kind of fantasy that a kind that I've never read before. I would definitely recommend this, and I'm really excited to actually finish the series. So there's 2 more books. I think it's like Legendary or Legend and Finale. And then after that, I didn't know that this series is actually connected to the Once Upon a Broken Heart series. Is that what it's called? So I actually have a lot of books to read to finish this whole series, but yeah, this book is sitting between like a 3.5 to 4, and I would highly recommend this. Then I went back to the Addicted series and I read Fuel the Fire, which I gave 4 stars as well. Again, the books are getting longer, so I feel like they're dragging on a little bit, but they're still absolutely amazing books, and I'm almost done with the whole series, guys. But yeah, Fuel the Fire, amazing book, rated at 4 stars. After that, I read The Paper Palace by Miranda Cowley Heller. This is another book that sat on my shelf for way too long, and I picked it in my Easter eggs, pick my April TBR video, so I finally got to read this. And this book, I rated 3.75 stars, which is so weird because looking back, again, I'm like, I feel like I liked Caraval more than this book, so why did I rate this more than, like, better than Caraval? That makes no sense to me. But it's about a girl who grows up at this, like, she grows up at like her family's cabin, like little settlement thing. I don't know how to explain that, but it goes back and forth between like current day and past time, and some things happened to her as a child that really just like traumatized her, and she had kind of a shitty childhood, so it's her just dealing with that. And it's a very interesting book. It's actually written really, really, really well. It's just very dark, and I would not recommend this to everyone because it does talk about SA, so keep that in mind if you're going to read this book. I'd recommend it, but it's definitely not for everyone. Okay, the last 2 books, which are the ones that I actually just finished, were also on my Kindle. Guys, I literally love my Kindle, like sometimes more than physical books, but all of these books that I've read on my Kindle, I'm going to buy secondhand. I don't really care to buy them brand new now that I've already read them. I just like want them as trophies on my shelf. So I'm looking into buying most of these books secondhand, and yeah, but either way, I read Divine Rivals. It was another book that I picked from the Easter eggs video. And guys, Divine Rivals was so good. I rated it 4.5 stars. I read this book in like 2 days, and this is like a different kind of fantasy. So I thought that this book was going to be like full fantasy world, but it's not. It actually takes place in a normal world, and there's like a hint of magic. So like there's not much, I don't know, it's just not a typical fantasy book, if that makes any sense. But it was so good. It's basically about these 2 gods that are at war with each other. Even though they're gods, they like have armies, and they like march with their armies kind of, or at least one of them does. And so they're trying to get the people of this giant city called Oath to like take each of their sides. So these two reporters, Roman and Iris, they are like kind of enemies, kind of just like rivals really at this newspaper that they work, and they end up somehow getting to the front lines of this war together, and they fall in love, and it just goes from there. But it's so good. And immediately after I finished Divine Rivals, I was like, I have to go into the second book, and that was Ruthless Vows, which was also on Kindle. I just finished this book yesterday, and I rated this one. Oh, I actually haven't even rated this one yet. Honestly, I haven't even really thought about it. I've been so busy the last day. I think I'm gonna give this book 4 stars. It was not as good as the first one. It picked up right where the second or the first one left off, but it just didn't, I didn't get the same exact feeling as the first book. So I'm gonna give it 4 stars. Honestly, that could change because like I said, I feel like I'm like trying to rate it on the spot now so I can tell y'all a rating, but it was really good still. I would highly recommend the Divine Rivals series. I'm honestly not sure if the series is done. I would think it was with how the second book ended, but yeah, I would really highly recommend all of these books, guys. They're all so good, and yeah, like I said, I literally, once I get all of these books that I've read on my Kindle, I'm gonna need like 2 more shelves because it's gonna take up that much room. But I absolutely loved all of these series, and I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Let me know down in the comments how many books you've read so far this year. Let me know down below. I want to know how many you have read. But yeah, I love you guys. I hope you guys enjoyed this video. Make sure to like and subscribe. I love you guys so much, and I will see you in the next video.